Hey, Tony.
Guess it's just us.
There you are. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. So far, yes. It looks like I need to try and turn a light on. Yeah, that did not a lot of good, but yeah, it is. And for what it's worth, this is all set up through Jacqueline's account. So credentials that hopefully multiple people have.
Yeah, I don't have them. I mean, I probably, well, I can't ever find them when I've looked for them, so.
Well, Jackie has them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope we have a quorum.
I have not had a chance to go through the responses from this morning. Guess I'm glad at least that they sent something by the date.
I started glancing through them, so I haven't I haven't spent that much time on them, but I did start glancing through them. Go NetSpeed, Otelco, they put in some financials that they want us to keep confidential, so we just need to make sure we're mindful of that.
Yeah. Do you think, do you need the executive committee to vote to bring a recommendation to the full board, or are you? Sorry.
No, I don't think we need the executive committee to.
Okay. So the review committee.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to be in a position to do something now, but you know, today at this meeting before we go to the full board, but I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to worry about it or wait. So guess we'll find out if somebody thinks they need to stop.
I have also started going through some of the ARPA content that's been sent to Larry. Only 2 CUDs have sent anything. A third, I was told, had done stuff, but they wrote back saying that they had not. So it's just interesting to see what other people have done. But as we've talked about before, it really comes down to whether or not they already have a partner or a plan in place. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some feedback from folks and see where we go from here.
Yep. Two people, you. It's Jacqueline and Larry.
That's good. That's something. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Larry. Still waiting on a quorum.
Yeah. I don't know if Bill will be here or not.
Okay.
He was out today. So I don't know.
Okay.
9. So you need 5.
Yeah, I think we need 5 folks and we have 3, so gotta wait a little bit longer.
Which case you need Andrew and John. And I haven't heard anything from them in a minute.
I haven't heard anything from John in a while. He guess he had knee surgery. a while back.
Mm,
Oh. So how's everybody's summer going?
finally, feeling like summer. It's hot and humid.
Yeah,
It was nice yesterday. It was like 75 yesterday. Wasn't so bad. Today's a little grosser, but
it was much better sleeping weather last night.
yeah, yeah.
My lavender plants have really taken off. They like this weather a lot.
Have they? Mine are still well, you didn't start them from seeds, did you?
No, somebody else did.
Yeah. I started mine from seeds and they are I mean they're growing, but they're really, really, really slow. So we'll see. Is it English lavender? Is that the species you got or variety you got?
I think so. They didn't clarify. So
I think that's
considering the
one
climate, I'm assuming so.
that's the one I think is most likely to be able to grow here. But like I said, I'm still trying to figure out whether or not it's going to be a perennial here or not. I don't think it is. So
Yeah.
maybe with climate change. So
Mine are also currently potted, so they haven't really been without water.
oh, okay. Yeah, ours are we moved them to the field I don't know, about a month ago, I guess, maybe a little longer. And for a while we were watering them all the time, and I think that actually did them more harm than good.
Yeah, I think they like dry roots.
Yeah, I think so too. They've been doing better since they haven't been getting watered as much. Well, there you go. There's the gardening update from Rutland County here in lovely Pittsford.
Oh, Andrew actually is, I didn't even see the notification that he was waiting. I apologize.
One,
Andrew, it's great to see your name. I'm sorry it took me a minute there to admit you. I apologize.
That's okay. Sorry.
You don't need to apologize for anything.
Well, now I missed a couple of meetings because we were traveling.
It's a good reason.
we still need one more for the quorum, but I don't know how much longer folks are prepared to wait. I mean, I don't have any, I have the whole hour blocked off, so I'm not that pressed for time, but if
Do you want to wait another 3 minutes?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine waiting. I'd even wait 5.
yeah, I mean, I think that's okay. I don't know if there's if anybody knows somebody who is likely to join. Jackie said Bill probably wasn't going to be able to.
Yeah,
And I know Amanda reached out to several folks.
Jessica said she wasn't going to make it, as did Chris, and we know Tim's MIA. Not MIA, but he's also traveling.
And
Yeah.
Tim has been on vacation, right?
Yeah.
so then what, John is the only other one?
John's the only other one. I don't have his phone number. I don't know if anybody does and can maybe text them or give him a quick shout, see if he's able to join. That would give us a quorum. At least we could officially go through stuff, approve the warrant, etc. Otherwise, we're gonna have to kick it to the board meeting, which I'm worried it's gonna have similar attendance.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, we can go over some updates and stuff like that about what's been going on, but you know, it would be nice to be able to approve the warrant, so.
I don't have John's number, but I didn't text Bill, even though he's probably busy.
Guess I'm boring. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere this summer. I don't really.
I'll be able to attend next week's meeting, but we're taking our first vacation in 3 years. So we're excited to
Oh,
go
Good.
somewhere different.
Where are you gonna go?
Rhode Island, Newport. We haven't been before, but some midway for a meeting with family we haven't seen in 3 years. So we're excited.
Nice.
Yeah. Our toddler
Ooh,
hasn't seen the
wow.
ocean before, so it'll be a big first.
oh, yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, I have not taken a vacation
Me neither.
yet.
You two definitely need to take vacation.
I know.
I think of when was the last time I was out of Vermont? I mean, I went to Jersey a couple times, but that's been about it. Anyway, well, why don't we just get started with some general updates, and then if anybody else joins, then we can call the meeting to order and go through the warrant and the rest of the agenda. But I don't want to keep everybody and just have us wait around and you know, waste everybody's time. So let's see, as far as the RFP for partners goes, I think everybody knows we got 2 responses to that RFP. A small team of folks has gone through the RFPs, the responses. We developed a list of questions for each of the respondents. We sent them a letter asking for them to respond by today, close of business. Both of them have responded. I've glanced at the responses. I haven't gone through them in depth, but we'll have to convene another meeting of our team and see whether the responses are address the questions that we had. I think last time we met, we talked a little bit about Google Fiber had reached out. They had reached out, and then they had asked for some information, which is basically all public. And then I had provided that information to them, and then they asked for another meeting. We had that meeting, I don't know, when was it? Week and a half ago, Amanda?
Let's say 2 weeks ago, but let me check.
2 weeks ago, and it doesn't matter, the date's not exactly, but it's in between the last time we met and now. They still haven't put any numbers, like they've not written anything down. They've not put any numbers on the table. You know, what they've done is basically a bunch of hand waving, I guess, is what I would call it, about, you know, how they would overbuild every address in the CUD, and that you know, they would pay a significant portion of the costs, but it would be over the course of 20 or 30 years. Their payback scheme. You know, we just to sort of do our due diligence, Amanda and I had a short meeting with Eli, who's the lawyer that's been helping us out, just to see, you know, make sure that it was okay for us to talk to Google, and then just to, you know, see if we had any, if there was anything we needed to be worried about or concerned about. Eli's opinion was similar to my sort of instincts, which is that unless we had some kind of a failed RFP, which to date we don't have a failed RFP, it's not really trying to come up with a deal from Google is not really sort of in following in the spirit with the RFP process. So since the last time we met with them, I asked them pretty bluntly. I said, you guys haven't put you're not giving us a compelling story, why we should change course. What would you like me to tell my board about, why it is that we should, change the path that we've been on. Their story was that basically, well, we're doing this with, 2 other CUDs, and it'll be wonderful to have a open access network that is overbuilt for, all the residents of the CUD, and, it'll allow different ISPs to compete. But there's a lot of, I still don't think that was a very compelling story from my perspective, just because I think it's going to wind up costing more money for, our constituents in the long run. It also means that we would have to stand up a business, an ISP on our own to, to deal with, to basically be, build the network and service the customers to some extent. That I'm not sure that if anybody has any comments or questions about that, but I don't really think that's anything that we're likely to want to go off and do. So thoughts, comments, concerns, questions?
Yeah, Tony, I don't see how our CUD could go out and do this kind of a build out with Google. Looking at the other CUDs and the ones that are going with Google, they're in a different situation than we are. The build out's not there like it is here in different places in Rutland County. I just think that'd be a lot to take on to do that build out.
Yeah, I agree.
The timelines are getting critical. The grant money is going to disappear. And then once that's gone, unless you have assets, revenue coming in, you have to go to the bond market to finish up. And I don't think we'd be in a position where they'd even look at us. So I just don't see how we can do that build out with Google.
No,
It's just my opinion. It just, but it's, you do your due diligence. You do have to sit down and talk to them. So.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Larry. I wanted to give them a chance to tell us a compelling story. Like you and I both said, I don't think their story is very compelling for us or the constituents, that we're trying to serve here. So I don't plan, I know for a fact that they reached out to VCBB because they were essentially very concerned that we didn't actually understand what they were talking about. But I had a chat with Rob Fish, I think it was late last week, early this week. I think it must have been, it was late last week. Just to confirm that, we were both on the same page. He also shared with me that I think it's Lamoille, maybe it's either Lamoille or Northwest. One of the 2 CUDs that's going with Google Fiber is struggling with, they're struggling to meet their numbers. Essentially, the business case evaporated in the last few weeks. So I guess watch that space for if there's anything significant to change for one of those 2 CUDs. I don't remember which one it was though, off the top of my head. Trying to think what else. We've been working through the process to update our what's it called, the SAM registration. So I think we're getting down to the last couple of steps. I've got to sign a document and get it notarized for Jackie. I'll try to do that in the next day or two, so that we can get that that sorted out. And I think that's that's what we need to be able to receive the next tranche of grant money. Is that right? Yeah. Let's see. We got a new member from
Sudbury.
Or so a gentleman, I think his name is Mike
Small.
Mall. Yeah, he had reached out to, I guess he had reached out to Bill and or Amanda a while back. He was interested in supporting the CUD. I told him to work through the select board and the town. And I guess we're waiting on a letter. Is that right? Have you gotten the letter yet?
Let me check.
Appointing him as a member or alternate. I don't know whether he's going to be a member or an alternate. So,
Coming from Sudbury?
Yeah,
was it Sudbury?
yeah, it's Sudbury.
So,
Mike, I met with the Sudbury town clerk this morning and he recommended, yeah, that's why I was gonna talk to you about that, Jackie. Did you know about?
no. So I'm actually technically the alternate.
Okay.
And Colleen Wright was the
Member or the
actual member, who I
primary?
don't think has come to a single meeting.
I don't think I've ever
um,
seen them. So
So maybe he's gonna take her place.
I think so.
Okay. Maybe.
That's still, well, I mean, you're still the
So I'm still the
treasurer,
treasurer.
right? So
So, So then if he is also at the meeting, I would not count as,
yeah, we'll have to sort out
oh,
how the voting, but yeah, each town only gets one vote. So
right. I was just thinking for quorum purposes.
yeah,
Yeah,
I guess I've always sort of I probably should have twigged to it, but I always think of you as being Brandon, but
I know.
it's-
Yeah,
my brain's not.
yeah.
Then I saw your Jackie Savella Sudbury thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap, did we just do that?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's because I moved, unfortunately. Yeah,
Okay.
no, because I moved a couple years ago.
Okay. It doesn't, I mean, I don't, you know, he seems enthusiastic. Let's see if he wants to
Yeah.
participate, right? And if, you know,
Yeah.
the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he's got some telecoms experience, so, you know, we could
Okay,
always use
perfect.
some help with that.
Right.
We've been leaning a lot on Tim for his technical expertise, so.
Yeah. Well, and I became the alternate just to make sure that we had the extra vote for the quorum,
Yeah,
because technically as just the treasurer, I don't think I have a vote.
Well, yeah, but you do in the executive committee. So,
Right.
So, okay,
So,
all right, well, we'll just have to keep
Yeah.
that in mind when we get to the full meeting.
Right.
And like I said, I haven't seen the letter yet, so.
It hasn't come through as far as I know. I just checked.
Yeah.
Okay.
so-
And he may not be able to attend the next meeting because he's gonna be traveling, so we'll see.
okay. Maybe they voted me out.
I don't think they
Might
voted
be
you
better.
out.
Ew.
I think they might have voted out your primary rep. Who's never participated, but anyway, you guys will work it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
The more the merrier anyway.
Right.
let's see. Am I missing anything? Amanda or anybody else?
The only two things that, they're not even on the agenda now that I think about it. It had been requested that I send out a poll about changing the meeting date and time. And there wasn't any huge consensus. It's all over the map, with some people also just saying keep it as is. There was a slight majority that had more availability on the first and second Tuesdays. And by slight majority, I mean 4 people voted as opposed to 3. We did overall have 13 responses, but it's distributed over all of the options that were present. That said, if anyone really wants to move the meeting, there's not a huge sign saying move it to this date or time.
I mean, I'm okay if we want to move it to Tuesday. It doesn't, not a big difference for me, but I know other folks may have a preference one way or another. So I can
For
make
what that's,
I can make Tuesdays in the afternoon work, as long as Tuesday mornings are tough, but Tuesday in the afternoon is fine.
and the other thing was on that line, in terms of representatives that don't attend. We have, a couple members that have really never attended. And so maybe the committee could consider what that means. If someone should reach out to say, hey, you guys do have a vote on the board. Do you want to send a representative?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Maybe you and I, Amanda, can work on a list of a naughty list. And I can reach out to, I guess, the town managers or select boards or whoever to ask if they really want to participate. I mean, we've got like you and I were talking about earlier today, we've got Rutland City as an example in the CUD, and they really have no, I mean, we're not going to get any money, whether they, any difference in money really, whether they were in the CUD or out of the CUD, and they hardly have anybody who isn't connected. So, and I haven't seen them send anybody in quite a while. Okay. Does anybody else have any issues or anything you want to sort of put on the table before we gavel closed our informal meeting? Because we don't have a quorum.
Yeah, I can do the OCCUD update. Some of this is kind of interesting. We had members from PEW Trust from Virginia. Evidently, their broadband bill out is in trouble. So they were looking to see how Vermont did it with CUDs. So they've been in communication. They'd interviewed our chair and watched our meeting, and then they stayed on after to ask questions. So to see if they can use our format of CUDs to rescue.
Like the Pew, like the Pew Charitable Trust, like that.
Yeah,
That's what I was
it
wondering.
is.
Tank.
Pew Trust, yeah.
Okay.
They're doing internet build outs. Interesting.
Or are they consulting for? Consulting for.
It wasn't
for
clear,
Virginia.
but maybe they're doing the consulting, and not a lot of detail of what's happening in Virginia, or basically what's not happening in Virginia. But they were looking at our CUDs here in Vermont to see if that's something they could do and set up. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll see how that goes.
They're quite a diverse and rural state too. I mean, they've got sections of that state that are very difficult to get to. Like there's a section on the Delmarva Peninsula that's basically isolated from everybody except for, I don't know if you've ever been down there, anybody's been down there, but it's got Maryland above it and Virginia below it, but there's a 13-mile strait in between, and it takes must be interesting to try to service that area. And they've got very rural areas. They've got some cities. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean.
And then at the VCBB meeting recently. Southern Vermont CUD had an application in, and that got tabled. There were some questions and some tweaking it needed to be done, so I guess they're working on that, and they'll be going back to the VCBB. And as I've stated before, in November, it looks like we'll have another CUD being formed in Chittenden County. The VCBB is short-staffed. There's some issues there of their workload, so the CUDA has some really talented members on the governing board who have offered to reach out and help VCBB with anything they need, grant writing or whatever. But there is some really talent there. So that's something that VCBB will getting back to the CUDA to help them with that issue with the shortness of staff. They're also looking at, there's a committee looking at a mutual aid agreement among the CUDs. And that's basically like municipality mutual aid agreements. If one CUD needs fiber optic cable right away, another CUD has extra cable they're not going to be using for a while, you know, to come up with agreement to swap out things along with labor. So there's working on that, the legal part of that. So there was also a comment that the grant money is going to run out in 2023, 2024. So that's coming to an end. Also looking at a RFP for a financial advisor that CUDs could use if they had to. That would be an individual thing. Southern Vermont CUD, as we know, is partnering with CCI. They've already completed their first phase, and they've completed the build out in Pownell and Bennington. They're hooking up customers and they're on track to finish by next year. And they're talking about, you know, once you're up and running, that your CUD budget, they can be very complex. And then one of the members, Ray Pelletier, I think he's an attorney, works on the CUDA budget. And he said, just to be prepared that the budget for our fees or our dues could double on the next budget. And no justification as to why that would be. You know, you don't have a program coordinator. Will Smith was gone and most of the fees went for his salary. So I'm curious to see why they would be doubling our fees. The other thing is working at the polls yesterday, I ran into our state representative, Jim Harrison. We were talking about different issues and he brought up Otter Creek CUD, wanted to know what was going on. He said the other Rutland County legislators are concerned with our progress or lack of progress because they know they're looking long range and they said the funding is going to run out. You know, I think we're looking at to do our build out, we're in the six figures. You know, our grant money doesn't go that far. So I said, I'll pass that information on. I said, you know, there's a committee working on it. Takes time, but he said, just let them know there is a concern with the legislators in Rutland County that there needs to be movement on our part. So just passing that one on. And then you know, I was telling Amanda that on our CUDA meetings, towards the end, we do a round table and each member, governing board member, talks about what's going on in their CUD, what's being built out, any issues or problems they encounter. And then I always, when it comes to me, I just say the same thing. We're still have a committee working on finding a partner. It just, you know, we're the last one out there. It just seems to a point where you can't rush this. I understand, but there is a concern that we're at a point to make a decision to move forward.
Well, that's fair. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
it's just, it's a concern. I just want to pass it on, that's all. So,
we're, at the end of the day, we're getting to the point where we are gonna need to make some decisions, right? I'd like to be in a position to recommend to the board next week, you know, whether we go forward with one or two of these, potential partners or not, you know.
Yeah. And again, Jim Harrison's concern was, and they look forward, they know what's going to happen up there in Montpelier. Their concern is the grant money is going to run out. Yeah. And that actually came up, I was just looking in my notes in the VACUDA meeting, Tuesday. I thought it somewhere was going to run out next year. It'll all be. Yeah, so I don't know, we'll wait and see. And they're also talking about maybe using some of our VACUDA funds to get a lobbyist for us in Montpelier. Because we're at a point where Will Smith used to do that, or Will Anderson used to do that because he lived right there in Montpelier. But there's no one doing that for us now, so.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
that's kind of the update.
The question I would have for you, Larry, and maybe others who may have a better feel for this, but I mean, are we getting value for money from our VACUDA membership?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at
Especially if the dues are gonna double. I mean, that's almost 20 grand.
9,000 now, yeah.
On there, 9,000 now, but it'd be almost 20 grand when
Yeah.
if they double, right?
Yeah. And can't speak for Southern Vermont, but we really haven't used VACUDA for anything.
Yeah.
Most of your communications are straight with, Rod Fish, the VCBB. The other CUDs, again, are in a totally different thing where they're buying all their materials through VACUDA. Their table, hardware, cabinets. But, we're not using them yet. And I don't know, I mean, if we partner with someone like CCI, I would think most of the material would be provided by CCI. So
Well, even if it wasn't, they'd be on the hook to provide it,
they
right?
would know where to provide it. So we wouldn't buy it through VACUDA.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, unless there was some, advantage to us to doing that or advantage to CCI. I guess we could ask the question, but
yeah, I mean, it's a good point to bring up, especially if that the fees are going to double or the dues is going to double. What are we getting out of VACUDA? The other CUDs, I think they're comfortable because they use VACUDA. Again, through all
Well,
the
if they're using it to consolidate purchasing power,
yes, absolutely, yeah.
then I think, that makes a lot more sense for them. But, to pay 20 grand a year to get some updates that we get from other sources for free.
VCBB, yeah.
Seems like a lot. Anyway, but let's start, just put that in the back of your minds as we go forward, especially if they start asking for twice as much money.
Yeah. Yeah, and we get to that point, I'll contact, I think his name is Terry Dorsey. He's on the governing board representing Southern Vermont CUD to see what they're going to do, because I can't see where they use VACUDA at all either.
Yeah. Okay. The other issue that came up, I think, was it you, Larry, who brought it to our attention, was the fraud that had happened with ET Fiber, right? It's EC Fiber, ValleyNet,
Yeah.
right? As I understand it, that they had a subcontractor or a contractor who somehow defrauded them of some money, or allegedly defrauded them of some money. Is that your understanding?
Yeah. Our chair of VACUDA, FX Flynn, when we did the roundtable, he talked about that, and you could really tell how upset he was. And he talked about it for quite a long time. So it's basically, we don't know the amount yet. They're going to be very public with it. but there's a considerable chunk of money came up missing. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And they changed management companies, and the new management company that's managing Valley Net, they're the ones that discovered it.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
gathered from reading some of the articles, is that nobody had noticed it until a new set of eyes were starting to look at the books, I guess. So I guess that's for Jackie and others, right, to just make sure that we've got our act together with respect to, meeting, if we do any kind of procurement or, invoices or any of that other stuff, that we're not, we've got a good trace for where everything has come from and is going to, and that it's, it meets the requirements of the grants and et cetera.
Once,
We don't have that much money going through
no,
our accounts. So I'm not like super worried about it, but it is a good reminder that, there's folks out there who might want to take advantage of situations. So,
usually any board, after a certain amount of money in the budget, and in our case, or CUDs, if the budget gets complex, the board at that point needs to look at or even budget for an audit. In that way, it just covers all the board members when you do an audit. But we're not at that point yet, but
yeah,
We-
I think once we get to the point where we have a construction grant,
Yes.
we need to make sure that we have a that we pay for pay an accounting firm to do an audit, an independent audit of our books.
Yeah.
So,
Legislation does state that definitely once the CUD becomes operational, so I think just past construction.
Yeah.
We're delivering a service, or our partner is, then you definitely need to have an audit.
I think even if the legislation didn't say it, I think it would be a very good idea. So,
I agree.
okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to update us on or talk about or have questions for me or Amanda or anybody else?
no, the only other thing that, we're talking about our quorums and things, and, tonight's an example, but we ever get to a point of picking a partner, it has to go or be approved by the full board. That's going to be the issue of we're ready to approve it and we don't have a quorum. So that's why
Yeah, I agree.
it's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it will. Trying to think of the polite way to say this. Well, we'll look like a bunch of smacked asses if we go to have a approval for partnership agreement or something like that, and we can't even get a quorum together. So,
And the other quick thing that I think, just looking at those letters going out to select boards for ARPA money, that we should have a partner on board before we do that, because otherwise, it's just like the select board is going to say, well, where are you going here? You don't have where's your plan?
yeah, I don't intend to send any letters to anybody at this point. I think was it Tim? Not Tim. What's his name? Fell with the beard from, I forget what town he's from.
Boltney?
Yeah, I think it's Pulteney maybe. But he was the one who was asking for it.
Yeah.
And then it was the same town, I think, Amanda, who
Oh, Polteny, Mark, yeah.
who blasted us over even wanting to ask, and it was his idea. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, we still don't have a compelling story for what we're going to do with the money anyway, right?
one of the ones that was sent to me from, was it NEK, Amanda?
The first one I think was NEK, the
From
one you
Chris.
just,
Yeah, Chris, it's an actual contract, a legal contract to a particular town where basically, I'm sure it was drafted by a lawyer, but it's basically saying for whatever the ARPA money a town commits to the CUD, here is the deliverables, and they spell out exactly what they're going to do for that money. And it is an actual contract.
And I think
That's
the other,
really complicated, but
I think the other thing is we'd have to ensure that the money that the town gave us, is my understanding, was used in that town.
yeah,
right?
well, that contract, absolutely, yeah.
And so that's like a whole level of,
Ooh,
talk about an audit.
yeah. I read the
Right.
contract and I'm going, oh, boy. Yeah,
I can't imagine trying to prove that, $300,000 or whatever that we got from ARPA funds from town X went, didn't go, that, 3 pennies of it didn't go to some other town.
and you're
Anyway.
doing that contract with every municipality, a separate contract.
Yeah,
And
that sounds like a way for the lawyers to get rich.
Speaking of quorum, one of the CUDs up there on their board, just like ours, has 51 members. It's beyond my imagination how you control that, but that's what they have.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
yeah,
Is that Northeast Kingdom?
It's
NEK. I
one-
think.
it- Yeah, I don't know which commissioner or which board member happened to say that, but they had a meeting coming up with their board, and they said we have 51 members on the board.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, well,
well, and the other thing, not to stretch this out, we were talking about an underground once, running the cable underground, who's responsible for that? What they have found out is this happened in Woodstock, where EC Fiber had run cable to just about every premise, but they came to points where it had to go underground from the pole. And for 2 years, that cable was just dead fiber hanging up in the tree because nobody knew what to do. Nobody looked into it. Finally, they got around to looking into it. And they find out if it's a development and say Green Mountain Power is running power in there, that means there's an easement, and that means a CUD can use that easement. They don't have to get a separate permit to go into these developments to run it.
Nice.
like underground through conduits or,
Yeah, I mean,
They-
an individual house, the owner would have to do the underground or hire someone to do it. But these developments where everything's underground and there's already easements for power, telephone or whatever, communications, the CUDs can use that easement and they don't have to go after a separate easement.
okay, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good, I guess.
Yeah, they didn't know that for 2 years. The people hung out there.
Sorry, my dog.
That's all I got.
There's like a rabbit in the backyard.
Oh,
I thought I was gonna make it through all the way through without a bunny rabbit showing up. So, all right. Well, thanks, everybody. And I'll try to reach out to some of the stragglers before our board meeting next week. Maybe you and I, Amanda, can spend an hour or so to come up with a list
Yep.
of who to reach out to try to get some strong arm a few people. So,
you need help in Rutland City, let me know.
okay.
Okay.
I with them, I'm wondering why they even want to be part of it.
Well, I just, for some reason, found the newspaper article when they joined. There was some reservation from some of the members, but since they could drop out if they wanted to, and there's no financial obligation, it was kind of, well, why not why, what's the reason not to join? But you're already built out. You know, what is it that the CUD is gonna do for you?
Yeah,
But
well, the
It's the
complicated thing is,
representation, yeah,
is it gives us another body that needs to be here, right? So we have
Yeah.
18 towns, so
right,
we need
it's a-
10 members to show up,
it's a quorum problem.
right? And if you know, as an example, I'm not trying to kick them out or anything, but you know, if we lost a town, we'd be down to 9, right? Would make a quorum, I think, right? Is that right? No. I
You
still
need 50,
still
was
need
it
10.
50%?
50% plus a little.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening and talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good
All
night.
right,
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
later.
Okay, stop recording.